This is Caribbean Vibes.
Some don't want to look for work at all. Every cent he had gambled it all.
All right, so welcome back, everyone. Well, I think this tells the entire story this morning at the beginning of the new school term. So thousands of the country's primary and secondary school students are expected out to school today as the new school term begins, but there continues to be serious concerns about the readiness of some institutions. We are joined this morning by President of the Trinidad and Tobago Unified Teachers Association, Mr. Martin Lumpkin, and in Tobago, Ttuta's Tobago officer, Braden Roberts. Gentlemen, thank you very much for coming this morning, and Mr. Lumpkin, thank you to you especially, and to Mr. Roberts, who always speaks with us, but to you, Mr. Lumpkin, for coming from so far this morning and braving the rains to be here. We do appreciate it. So thank you very much again.
You're welcome.
All right, Mr. Lumpkin, let's begin with you. Have there been any new developments overnight?
So good morning, Mr. Hopkinson. Good morning to the viewers of Morning Edition. Only last night I witnessed on the news that at St. George's College, that not all students and teachers are asked to report this morning. We understand just forms 1 and 2 are being asked to report, and I think from Wednesday, when the school is supposed to be fully prepared, then all occupants would be out. We are yet to confirm. However, we have officers who will be there this morning, and that's the only update I have at this time.
Yeah, I know that over the past few days, and even in our report last night, as being reported or was reported by Renessa Cutting, she referred to a number of schools, as you would have told her yesterday, that could be affected today.
Yes, there are a number of schools that are under our watch presently. Currently, we are going to be going to some of those schools because of infrastructural work. And I want to say on the onset, the schools throughout Trinidad and Tobago have been challenged with the lack of furniture or replacement of furniture at these institutions. Most of the schools have been using what they have, repairing their furniture. I have seen where principals, teachers would have put plasters, as they say, on those sores, and which presents further health and safety issues. And the last time we would have gotten proper upgrade and more new furniture would have been probably about 10 years ago. So that's one of the situations. But there are other schools that have sewer issues, issues of basic infrastructural. The ministry, I know, was rushing things down to have schools reopen this morning. And most, or if not all, schools may reopen. However, would they remain open for the next few days? That's the question as well, too. We have seen in the past the ministry and the division having this public relations gimmick of saying on the first day of school, all schools have reopened, but under what conditions, under what threat are these reopening done? And Ttuta is of the opinion that the safety of the occupants should not be compromised. It is better to have a couple of days off, get the issues done properly, and then reopen in a safe and secure environment.
Yeah. Well, Mr. Roberts, it is the beginning of a new school term, and again, Mr. Roberts, we're here speaking about some of the problems affecting some institutions in Tobago. Let me just quote the Education Secretary in Tobago. She has said that all Tobago schools are ready, and she speaks about all 57 of them.
Well, the division, in my opinion, good morning to the viewers and to your team as well. The division, in my opinion, as the president just said, it's a PR campaign. When you look at the basic things, so before I even go into furniture and the plumbing and lighting, even just the cleaning of the schools, I'm not certain that any number of the schools were cleaned. And we know that September is usually a challenge with the flu season and those different children come from different homes and so on, where a large number of teachers and students tend to fall sick during this period. Not even the cleaning of the schools would have been done, and that's where the great concern is for me. If there are areas in the school where there are health and safety risks, we could avoid those things. But if the entire school is dirty, that is a significant problem for us. The division did not seem to be aware that the schools needed to be power washed. What they was suggesting that the cleaners would do their regular cleaning, which would be to wipe down the tables, either sweep and mop as best as they could. But for an academic year that would have gone by, the schools would have been significantly dirty after that lengthy period of usage. And to not have the schools cleaned at least is of great concern to us.
You know, as I listen to Mr. Roberts and as I listen to you, Mr. President, it seems to be a really messy state of affairs when it comes to our schools and infrastructure and the readiness of our learning institutions. It's in a mess.
It is. One can determine that it is in a mess. I must say that our administrators, principals, school supervisors, the whole administrative staff, do what they can with the limited resources that they have. We are well aware of the financial situation in the country, but we have also said and gone on record that education is too an important area in Trinidad and Tobago to have lack of funding affected to the point that it is right now. A lot of schools are on a thread in terms of continuing the day-to-day functioning. And we feel that the Ministry of Education, and by extension the government of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, the Division of Education, should be putting a greater effort. These are lives you're talking about. This is the future of Trinidad and Tobago. This is the future of national development, of human resource capital. And we seem not to be taking it as serious as it should be. And at times we are taken for granted because, by and large, educators will do what they have to do in order to have their students educated. But it is reaching to a point where we are really, really not at a comfortable position.
Yeah. Mr. Roberts, are there any particular schools that will come under your radar today? Are there particular schools that you plan to visit today to see what the condition is?
Right. So I would have sent two separate lists to the division. I would have sent a list in April because by September I did not plan to be in any banter with the secretary and the division. You know, we're going to act accordingly. So despite getting a list very early of the work to be done, we still ended up with contracts being given out last week. That being said, we have Roxborough Anglican where the ceiling is a concrete ceiling where pieces of it are falling in. We have some schools with serious termite issues, so the furniture, the flooring of the school is compromised. We have other plumbing issues and lighting issues that we're going to attend to this morning. So my intention is to visit those schools from heading all the way up to Roxborough Anglican. All the schools I can visit on the way up and on the way down. I would just have a looking at where they are with the repairs. I know that the divisions that they treated with some of the critical things, but with our aging schools, majority of our issues will be at a critical state. So there are several things that our teachers and principals are not happy with. But mainly, as I said before, I mean to not even clean the school, even if you have furniture shortage, to be in a dirty school, leaving your home to go to a dirty school for any person is where the great discomfort would be.
Yeah. Mr. Lumpkin, recently you said that, and you reminded teachers that they are not to report to work or to school if their assigned school is closed. Do you maintain that position?
We maintain that position. All our educators are assigned schools from the Teaching Service Commission by letter of appointment, and the Ministry of Education cannot unilaterally change that. Even if the school is closed, they cannot report to anywhere else. What's the purpose of doing that? When they report to whatever place, how are they signing on for duty? What are their duties at that time? So the Ministry of Education has attempted in the past and quite recently, because we had instances of Thursday and Friday where schools were supposed to be sprayed. And we all know the challenge of the dengue, disease. And schools could not have been sprayed before, because we are well aware that the units in the Ministry of Health are challenged by lack of equipment. So they have to schedule, and some were scheduled for the Thursday and Friday. And the Ministry of Education attempted to have persons report to places outside of their workplace. And I want to also caution our administrators. In doing so, you have to remember you cannot remove the official books and documents from the school to take it to another compound. That is against the regulations. And sometimes they, in their enthusiastic way of doing things, they do that and can be charged accordingly. But we maintain that once the place that the educators and the education professionals are assigned, they cannot be assigned elsewhere unless the Teaching Service Commission gives the approval.
Mr. Roberts, is there the possibility today that some students are going to report to school and they are going to have to be sent home? Is that a strong possibility, a possibility at all?
Well, based on the feedback on the ground, yes, it's a strong possibility. I know that I saw a memo from the Pentecostal Light and Life Foundation, that's the primary school, where the PTA would have advised the parents to not send out their children. We have two other schools where I heard a little rumbling, similar commentary. That's Bell Garden, I think that's an Anglican school, but they would have sent out little communications on the ground as well, monitoring the readiness of school. Well, contrary to the article in the Express, the highlight though, Ttuta don't shut down buildings. Once we go to our place of work and there are breaches to health and safety, there is the refusal to work that we can utilize, and we utilize it responsibly. So we usually guide our teachers and so on how they utilize such, but it's a strong possibility that the schools would not function to capacity today, in that even the secondary schools, is not that they need 10 or 15 more chairs, they need like 200 and something more. We had 2 years ago where you saw some children from Signal Hill Secondary standing up in corners of the classroom taking notes, lapping their foot to write on their laps because they don't have desks to press on. It's a similar situation where we are in come this September morning.
Yeah. You know, Mr. Lumpkin, and I think I did raise that last time that we spoke, in that, again, there seems to be a disconnect between the Education Ministry and Ttuta. When we speak to Ttuta, sometimes we get the impression, look, the Ministry of Education is heading into certain directions, particular directions, and Ttuta is not apprised of anything, and sometimes the plans really come like a thief in the night. So does it speak to the management, the management attitude, if I can put it that way, of the Education Ministry, the management style of the Education Minister? Is it a situation where Ttuta is losing confidence in the ministry and its minister?
We want to say that, by and large, we will get cooperation from the functionaries of the Ministry of Education. It has to do with the drill down of policies. And as you know, as you're well aware, and this is also in relation to the division, that the head of the ministry and the division will normally institute policies, and they will also direct the public. Well, they're not really supposed to, because a politician is not supposed to instruct the public servants. They can liaise with the permanent secretary or the administrator, and those persons will now drill down the policies. So in the past, it appears as if the persons in the office of secretary or minister have seemed to be seem to take the stance that Ttuta is an obstructionist, that we are there to prevent their policies from taking place. However, we have maintained throughout that we are there to assist. We have our ears on the ground through our membership, and our members will be able to best guide us to guide the Ministry of Education. So we have seen in the past that past ministers, past secretaries have seemed to left out Ttuta in their deliberations. We have heard the utterance of one minister say that Ttuta will only be advised, not consulted, advised when it is necessary. We say that cannot happen. Ttuta is there as a body that will assist in all aspects, because the first thing in our Constitution is to work towards the cause of education, whether it be in industrial relations, whether it will be in professional development. We are there, and we have displayed in the past that we are not obstructionists. We are there to assist both in the division and in the ministry. But some politicians, and I want to say at this point, education is far too important to have party politics play a part in the education system, and for politicians to kick around the education system like a football, because we are playing with lives, we are playing with the nation, and we are playing with the future of our nation. And we shouldn't be playing party politics from either side, whether it's in government or opposition. We need to sit down, and we need to work for what is in the best interest of the education system.
But you know, Mr. Roberts, you have spoken about some serious issues and serious health and safety issues. You're speaking about plumbing issues, lighting issues, roofing and ceiling issues, and not to forget, Mr. Roberts, the rodent infection issues where we have spoken about in the past. To me, I would have thought that at this time, those issues would have been resolved.
Well, I understand the hope that you would have had, and I would have had the same hope. But I would say I'm not disappointed, you know. Look at the attitude of those at the helm. You're not seeing the level of seriousness. And that's why we are always prepared. And Ttuta has to be critical of the work that is done in education, and that's why they would find us to be obstructionists. We are not there to be passively going along with whatever the ministry and the division comes along with. Understanding that this society is a reflection of our education system, and we are having a very poor reflection right now. Ttuta has to do its job, and we would have submitted to the division, and that's where, for me, it shows that the division either don't care or they're not prepared to deal with the gravity of the education system as it is on the island, and I'm seeing the same thing being portrayed in Trinidad. It's not about the politics, as Mr. Lumpkin would have rightfully said, but we have to ensure that education is at the place where it needs to be, so that we don't have the high levels of delinquency that we have now, where our crime rate is increasing. So yes, we are pretty critical. We do our research, we do our background information, we go to the division and the ministry with data, with information, with suggestion, but the feedback that we get does not see that seriousness is being reciprocated. So we're going to continue to do our job and advise our members accordingly, and as needed, we would engage the media, but the main thing is to get the action items done by those persons who are responsible.
Well, the Minister of Education, she sent out a statement yesterday, and it's really a statement to the children, to the students. And she says, while everything in your home, community, and even in your school may not be perfect, that in itself can teach you an important life lesson. Life is not perfect, and the most successful people in the world are those who have made it through difficulties and have achieved their goals in spite of that. So she lauded teachers for their continued work, saying that the work they did developed students which were the nation's greatest asset.
And how long can you go on to say that life is not perfect and that you need to find ways to get around challenges? Yes, we acknowledge that. However, we cannot use that as an excuse or a way to get around your responsibility as the persons in charge of the system. How long are we going to keep saying that? It is going on for far too long. And when you continuously have persons under these sort of conditions, their morale drops. That is human nature. You have to try to bring up and uplift them. But when you are seeing conditions around you that seem to always bring you down, society is challenged. And now in the school environment, they are challenged as well too. It lends a certain message to them. And yes, we will always encourage our members, the students, to work with what you have. But you can't keep pressing them down all this time. There must be some light at the end of the tunnel. And at this time, we are not even seeing a flicker of light at the end of the tunnel. We don't even know where the tunnel ends at this time. So, yes, as the Minister of Education, you send out that message, but there must also be some substantive interventions that take place that we are not seeing at this time.
Yeah. Mr. Roberts, what's the feeling among your membership in Tobago, among your teachers? How do they feel as to what they have been seeing and hearing, and as they prepare to go out to school today?
Well, I'm grateful that you have asked me that. Actually, they are trying to eat me raw right now. They are very displeased. We have been trying within the ranks to comfort our members. A number of our teachers had to be out during the weekend, cleaning the classrooms for themselves, painting their classrooms, because the state of their roofs is not where, as the minister said, it's tough times. They have to learn to get over tough times. That's disrespectful to our teachers. Our teachers spend a large number of their resources trying to uphold the education system. And to see that it reached the stage where teachers are cleaning and painting for themselves, parents have been reaching out asking for their association to give some feedback as to what is happening with the schools, because we know that the division sent out information, I believe it was last night or late yesterday evening, to inform that our schools will be open and so forth, but the information wasn't readily available. So there is a bit of unease, and that's why it's important for us to be on the ground this morning, both to provide that support to the teachers and, to hear and get the real issues that we could get reports to the division and the media accordingly. But it is a bit unsettling this morning, and that's not the way to start a school year at all.
Mr. Lumpkin, has there been any development? Has there been any movement? Because I know that over the past few days you all have been involved in protest over insurance, refunds. Has there been any development concerning that?
We have no new developments to report at this time. What I can say is that a management committee meeting was called right after we had the last demonstration, but nothing new was reported at that time. And we are signaling to the authorities once again that we are in a situation that is having our members very uneasy, and that's putting it lightly. They're very frustrated at the fact that they have to wait so long. Monies are taken out of their salaries quite easily, but yet still they cannot get the benefits that are afforded to them. And we are calling on the authorities to have that situation clarified and put in. If it is that there has to be other ways of funding or bridging that gap, let it be known. But the silence of the state in this instance has our members very, very uneasy. A number of them are asking to drop out of the plan. It's a mandatory plan. And they are asking to drop out because they are not seeing the benefit of the plan. We are in the process as well at looking at the documents of the plan and taking our decision on the next step forward should the government not clarify and rectify the situation.
Yeah. Mr. Roberts, what's your message to both parents and students today and even teachers?
Well, of course, we will have to sift through all the dirt and get to the positive of today. We are going to try our very best to do what is within our remit. However, if we continue to allow certain things to just slide, the division and the ministry will never change. So we are going to be responsible in our operation this morning. I would not want our teachers to over-exaggerate any situation despite the frustration that may be felt. We're going to be of support to each other. Parents, once we start the academic year where we collaborate positively with our schools, we will find some of the solutions we need to find in the interim while we clamor for the division to do much better than they are doing now. So while we will have a bit of frustration on the ground, we still want to find a little bit of positivity where we focus on the task at hand, because every day lost in education is a significant day where we need to impact our society positively. So that's where I would want to live, where we still find some way to find that strength within to be a little positive in getting something done despite the challenges we face.
Yeah. Mr. Lumpkin, you all are heading out to the Mount Hope Secondary School this morning?
Yes, I will be present along with the school's PTA because they are going to highlight their frustration at the conditions that their children are facing. Mount Hope Secondary staff and parents feel as if they are being neglected because recommendations have been made to have emergency repair done to the school. But what we are told is that when it reaches the higher offices, it's shut down. They are told that there are other schools that require the repairs. But if one takes a look at Mount Hope, and I have to say, the staff has invited the OSH agency, OSHA, to be there on 3 occasions, most recently during the vacation. And there is a prohibition notice as well as an improvement notice for that school. The school was built in the early 1970s as one of the junior secondary schools. And as the ministry has rightly said, a number of secondary and primary schools have outlived their lifespan. Mount Hope Secondary is one. And what is even more daunting, the school was rebuilt in around 2007-8, around that time. And if you see the structure now, it is dilapidated, it is unoccupied. And when we ask what will it take to bring that up to standard, the ministry would have revealed that they may not be able to occupy because of structural issue, because of the lack of occupation for the number of years. To see tens of millions of dollars being spent and gone down the drain, to have that being on their doorstep every day, that is not encouraging for them. And then they have to occupy areas that are not, ventilation and lighting is a challenge. There are some cracks when they had a big earthquake the time. Mm-hmm. There were some challenges to the infrastructure. And you have these teachers and students, educators going to this compound. And I must say, Mount Hope Secondary's CSEC results have been improving over the years. So they are feeling that they are being punished, in other words, for doing so well. They are not being given any sort of, an encouragement. So it's like, all right, you all are doing well under those conditions, yes. Continue to do well. Mm-hmm. So they will be there to highlight. I saw that some photos were shown of the conditions. That's just part of it. You have other aspects right now at Mount Hope Secondary.
Yeah. Mr. Lumpkin, Mr. Roberts, thank you very much for speaking with us this morning and trying to give us a sense as to what is happening at the nation's schools. Of course, I'm sure that the media will be in contact with you all today as things develop. Yeah? But gentlemen, thank you very much again. We do appreciate it. Mr. Lumpkin, thank you very much again for braving the rains and coming up the road. Thanks again. It's good to see you in person.
Welcome, and thank you for having us once again.
Bye, Mr. Roberts. It's always good speaking to you.
Pleasure.
Bye for now. Okay, so we are going to a very short break, everybody. We're coming back.
Run down quick, little boy, run down quick. The donkey trip and your sister stay. So little boy, run down quick. A breeze between 2 mountains pain. Plenty pain. Water lay down and water stand up cane. His sweet, sweet cane. Them was happy days. Really happy days. School days was happy.